Hi there, I'm Stephanie Carmody. If you're in midlife and quietly wondering what's next, you're not alone. This podcast is a space for honest conversations about starting over, finding yourself again, and creating a life that actually feels like yours. We talk about faith, healing, identity, and everything in between. Just real life and what it looks like to begin again. Welcome to Second Act Sessions. Welcome back to Second Act Sessions, everyone. I think many women reach midlife and begin noticing changes in their bodies, the exhaustion that lingers no matter how much you rest, the weight that doesn't respond the way it used to, the mood shifts, the brain fog, and somewhere along the way, we start telling ourselves a story that this is just what getting older looks like. But what if it isn't aging? What if it's overload? What if the body is not betraying us, but signaling that it has been carrying more than it was ever designed to hold? Today, we're talking about the hidden stress crisis affecting so many women and how healing is less about restriction and more about realignment, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Because midlife is not the beginning of decline. It can be an invitation into deeper health, renewed energy, and a more intentional way of living. And I could not think of a better guide for this conversation. My guest today is Christine Hartmann, a Christian entrepreneur, certified biblical mindset coach, podcast host, and widely known as a cortisol coach. Over the past 2 years, Christine has built a community of more than 400,000 women by helping those over 40 restore their energy, lose weight, and find peace through daily habits aligned with God's design. Her passion for this work was shaped by an extraordinary season of life, fostering 77 children while raising her family, a calling that eventually led her into chronic stress and burnout, and ultimately sparked a powerful personal health transformation. Today, Christine blends personal experience, biblical truth, and practical insight to help women step confidently into their next season with clarity, strength, and peace. Christine, I'm so honored to have you on here today, and welcome to Second Act Sessions.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Been following you on Instagram for a while as a cortisol coach, and I feel like that is such a topic that I see so many women my age discussing. And in fact, one of my best friends, we keep talking about cortisol levels and stress levels. And for me, having walked through something very stressful in my life, a divorce, physical, emotional abuse from a narcissistic ex. So I do know that I've lived in fight or flight for so long. And so as I see this in my own life, I'm so glad to have you on to talk about this, because I feel that there must be so many other women out there also struggling and navigating this season of their life, trying to figure out, is it stress? What is going on with our bodies? So thank you so much. And I'm really hoping that today's conversation can shed light on this topic.
Yeah, I think it's something that so many women are struggling with. And I feel like also it's such a tool that the enemy uses to steal, kill, and destroy. And it's not what God intended. It's not his original design for our body.
I totally agree. And so I think many women, including myself, assume that like their exhaustion that they're feeling, whether it's, just lethargy or fatigue, is part of getting older. It's definitely not just that. Like there's more to it than that, correct?
There is more to it. And it's, even if you go back to the Bible and it says that we are to have the mind of Christ, like we are made in the image of the Maker. That's not God's plan, and it doesn't have to be like this. I'm 40,
Right.
I just turned 46, and I've never felt better in my own body, in my own skin.
Yes.
And as somebody who has struggled with and been diagnosed with social anxiety disorder, I mean, that's a disorder, right? It's not a disease. It's not
Right.
something that's permanent. It's something that through trauma and stress and whatnot, your body adapts. And I feel like all of our bodies as women, especially over 40, like they're just trying to adapt to shifting hormones. And we just don't know what we don't know. And then pretty soon we're in this place of fight or flight and chronic stress and overwhelm, and our hormones are all over the place and we don't know what to do.
Exactly. And I feel like for me, navigating that, I'm trying to piecemeal it and figure out exactly what's going on. So selfishly, I'm excited to have you on today to learn more about how I can potentially help myself. What is cortisol and what role does it play in the body in particular?
So cortisol is actually a hormone, and it's actually intended, like I created it to help you in really super stressful situations. So if you are, let's say, in a momentary, there's a panic, there's something that you need to respond and react to quickly, such as if you need to get your family out of the home, there's a fire burning,
Hmm.
right? Your body can increase the cortisol level so that it can almost like slow down time, and you can respond appropriately and you can do what needs to be done, but then your cortisol levels should drop. Like they're not meant to be in this sustained place for a
Heightened.
long period of time. Yeah.
And then I guess for you, if you could explain, what are like the clearest signs that a woman's body may be stuck in that chronic stress, response, meaning their cortisol levels aren't coming back down. So what are some of those symptoms?
For me, the first one that I noticed was like that kind of like bubbling anxiety. So, like, you never turn off. I mean, I had very pronounced symptoms, I think, because I had been in that place for a long time. But a lot of women are going to notice overwhelming exhaustion. Like, you can't sleep enough for your body to recover because it's
Hmm.
just working too hard during the day.
Right.
Also disturbed sleep. So a lot of times it's very classic that you're going to wake up from like 2 to 4 a.m. That's also kind of spiritual too. But
Hmm.
there's brain fog, and the classic signs are like the round face, your body's
Hmm.
holding on to inflammation,
Hmm.
the stomach and digestion issues, as well as not being able to lose weight, the stored belly fat. Like typically it's like I carried most of my weight in my stomach.
Hmm.
There's also a lot of like reproductive issues that you can run into. There's a lot of people have migraines. I have TMJ. I had a full hysterectomy because I had so many fibroids.
Wow.
So there's a lot of different hormonal imbalances that can happen. For me, my body developed cancer cells. My body was just trying to survive, right? And it's
Yeah.
not meant to be in that high cortisol level for as long of a time as it was in. But I mean, the sleep disturbances, the weight gain, not like if you've tried everything to lose weight and you can't lose weight,
Hmm.
um, you can probably look to your hormones.
Interesting, because I'm like, as you're listing all of these, various symptoms, I have so many, and I'm just like, and I'm always trying to figure out exactly what it is. And I wanted to know, seem to hit women, I guess, so much more particularly hard in midlife. Like, is it because as we age, our hormones are dropping, and then that's what's kind of creating this sort of like, almost like I feel chaos in your body?
It is, and especially as your estrogen changes and your progesterone changes, and your cortisol spikes. I mean, the other piece too is that high cortisol levels cannibalize muscle mass. So, a lot like lean body muscle and lean muscle and building muscle is what's really going to help you also lose weight and
Hmm.
burn stored fat. And if your cortisol levels are super high, your body's under chronic stress. That's where a lot of women too are starting to drink. And I know it's a little bit like a little bit more taboo to talk about, but there's nothing more calming than a glass of wine or a glass of alcohol at night to numb your brain, right? And so as you start maybe adding in alcohol, or you're eating carb, sugar, or salty foods at night, all of these processed foods, like it's your body is just struggling to process it and
Hmm.
burn the fat. It's just more added, like we're just doing more things to try and combat the symptoms that are actually putting us in a worse place.
Right. I mean, that makes perfect sense too when you think about it. I mean, everything's
Yeah.
so connected, intertwined, and you think you're helping with in one respect, but then you're obviously probably just creating more issues and problems for yourself down the road. Like, do you feel like the world has just gotten so chaotic and more stressful that unbeknownst to us, we don't even realize we're having these elevated cortisol levels?
Well, and I mean, it's interesting because I feel like, especially as social media has progressed, and like
Mm-hmm.
most people are on social media or they have some component, especially walking out of COVID and people being on like virtual, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even our kids were virtually learning for so long. Or like my daughter's homeschooled, she does online learning on a computer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so we're spending all of this time in technology where if you go back in time, people were outside. I mean, I remember growing up and it was like, go play outside, right?
Exactly.
It's just so different now. For me, I noticed too is our kids are saying things like, Mom, how long are you going to be on your phone? I don't
Mm-hmm.
think those are things that used to happen, right? Even
Yeah.
10 years ago. And there's also that comparison, right? I know it's the thief of joy. We all know that. But if you're sitting there and you're seeing all of these things in a world where the enemy wants you to compare,
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at what can I try? What can I do different? And to be honest, when people say, well, just go get outside, go get active. If your mind isn't in the right place, you're not even going to want to get off the couch or get out of bed. For me, I know I needed a midday nap to even make it through the day. Like
Wow.
it was hard.
Because I just think as I navigate my, this
Yeah.
season of my life, I kind of say that like I feel like Gen X women were sort of like conditioned to override their bodies. Like it wasn't about
Yes.
your health growing up or anything like that. I mean, are you seeing that in some of the people that you work with who are more like my age and older that were kind of like all of a sudden now really starting to try to get in tune with our bodies that we've been kind of like maybe ignoring for some time? What are you
A,
seeing?
a lot of what I'm seeing is a lot of women who were strivers and
Mm.
performers and achievers and
Yep.
very highly driven women that put their emotions to the side because their emotions didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to seek approval and to get ahead, right? And we were
Yeah.
told, you've got to get into college, you've got to get good grades. It wasn't the same world where now it's like you could do a million different things,
Yep.
and college is almost an option for our children at this point. Like, if they want to, like, does it
Yeah.
benefit you? Let's weigh the options. Where before it was, there's no other option. You need to perform, perform, perform. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember in school we had spelling bees and challenges, and you could get into the advanced math classes. Like, everything was performance based, and that's what we grew up with.
Yeah.
And it was also a very big period of um your emotions don't matter. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think there's a lot of women who are 40 and over who are really waking up and saying, wait a minute, my emotions do matter, and are in that place where they're setting healthy boundaries. And they're
Yes.
saying, how do I become the person God created me to be? And
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, that starts with, how do I fix what's broken? And they don't know what's broken. They just know they feel horrible. And it's almost like they don't feel like they recognize or even like who they are.
Yeah, that resonates so much with everything you just said. Is like something I either walked through or experienced, and the
Yeah.
whole about overachieving. It's all about performance and like the
Yeah.
bubbling anxiety. Like I still feel that today. That I also feel that the emotional connection with your body. There's a mind body spirit connection for a reason. And I feel like if one is out of alignment, right, then your
Yeah.
body is going to reject that. And in a lot of ways, I even felt my own body like crying out and wanting me to pay attention to it at some point. So
Yeah.
I guess that's great to see that you're seeing your women starting to make that connection, because that's so critical, in all of our healing journeys, physically,
Yeah.
mentally, etc. Um,
Yeah.
what do you think is something women have been taught about their bodies that simply isn't true? Like, have you seen anything that they've been taught, or is it generational sort of like information that they've shared that you're like, that's not true at all about our bodies as it performs to like maybe pertains to healing?
I feel like so much that most people don't truly understand that the body does keep the score.
Interesting.
And so there's so many diagnoses out there that people are given.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I was given social anxiety. I was told I have fibromyalgia. I was told that I have also depression, right? I had panic attacks. I had chronic migraines. I was given so many labels.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's so many women out there that have adjusted that those labels are okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we do go through seasons where we might be struggling with migraines or we might be struggling with anxiety. But going back to truly like the words you speak have power. I mean, the Bible tells us that they have the power to kill and breathe life, right? But also it's that there's so much more testing that you can do. So
Yeah.
for me, it was going and getting genetic testing done. I was diagnosed with ADHD, both kinds. I'm like a super powerful ADHD.
Right here.
Like,
I'm like laughing because everything you're saying, I'm like, I have all of this.
yes. And so then I was like, but I kept trying all these ADHD meds. And so I went to, my doctor had sent me to a psychiatrist because she was like, I can't figure, like they couldn't figure out which one would work because I was having all kinds of crazy symptoms from different ones. The psychiatrist was like, have you ever done genetic testing? And I was like, no. And so he said, let's do genetic testing because there's also testing that they can tell you which medications do work and don't work for your body.
Oh, that's good
And
to know.
then, so they were able to figure out that I have an MTHFR double gene mutation. You do?
I have the SNP or SNAP, so I have like the
Yes.
more minor one, but it
Yeah.
runs in my family as well. Oh my God,
Yes.
I'm laughing so hard right now. Like we
Yes.
have
Well,
way too much in common.
and it's like once I realized that 60% of the population has this genetic mutation,
Don't even know.
and I was like, what were we all eating as kids? Flintstone vitamins, right? We were all like, they were literally giving us liquid vitamins at school. And they all had what? Folic acid in them, which doesn't work for our body. Like, I was like, Mom,
Terrible.
you poisoned me. And she did.
They all did.
Yes. And so I feel like that's where we're all coming into this. And like, I went to a naturopath and I had my food allergy testing. I did the Viome food testing, and I realized through the naturopath that I actually have food intolerances to multiple things, which goes back to our foods are highly pesticided. So
Highly
it's just
toxic.
like, yes, it's all of these things that come together, but knowledge is power. So for me, when I cut out cane sugar, which she told me four very big high triggers that I had, when I cut out the cane sugar, I suddenly did not have fibromyalgia.
Wow.
So was
Wow.
it actually the fibromyalgia that I had, or was it I have a food intolerance to cane sugar?
Well,
It's
right. And when you eat things that you are either intolerant to or allergic to, that just creates inflammation, which then in turn can
100%.
lead to leaky gut. And it's all connected. The more you eat something
100%.
your body can't process. And with, as we know, the MTHFR mutations, you can't even methylate properly either. So
Right.
it's your body is working overtime, is how I.
100%. And I feel like that's where it's like, there's so many more resources out there that
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of times the genetic testing is covered for health insurance.
Yes.
Like all
Hmm.
of these things are covered. It's $250 or $300 to get food testing. Like, but that's something that can drastically change your life. And
Right.
it's what has helped me lose 38 pounds now, right? But
Amazing.
it's truly, I don't even care what the number is.
Right.
For me, I was always chasing a number because I'm an achiever, right? Like, let's hit the
Hmm.
goal weight,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get into a certain size of clothing or whatever, because that's
Yeah.
somehow going to matter. But truly, when you strip it away, what you have to do in order to achieve healing and the weight loss or whatever your health or mental health goals
Yeah.
are. I mean, I was on 4 medications. I'm on a
Oh,
half of one right now
wow.
because I have a serotonin deficit, which I didn't even know I had that. That would have been useful, right? Um,
Exactly.
so, but it's truly understanding how your body works. And I think that that's one of the things is that people are depending on all of these pharmaceuticals when I
Yeah.
do believe that some of them do have a place. Like without my serotonin medication, I'm extremely not in a good place.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
that's knowledge is power, and there's a role for all of those things, right?
Right. Right.
But it's also, wow, I don't need to be on a fibromyalgia medication because I actually don't even have fibromyalgia.
Exactly.
So just taking our power back by using the tools that God has given us to figure out what's going on in my body. And I feel like that's where a lot of women don't quite know all of the tools that are out there that they can become educated and experts at their own body and
Right.
help in their own healing.
Right. I couldn't agree with that more because I've been on such a journey over the past several years doing all that testing,
Yeah.
genetic testing, MTHFR, the food, everything, and trying to
Yeah.
kind of figure out really what's going on in my body. And I know you mentioned, obviously, we're both women of faith, and, we talk about aligning our habits with God's divine. And I feel like, what would you say to women is like, how do you navigate that or find that balance?
The Bible says that faith without works is dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
But God is co-laboring with us.
Mm-hmm.
And what's so important in that is that requires our action. Like that requires us to step forward.
Yeah.
Like God never gives us the full blueprint. Gosh, I wish He would of our whole
I know.
life, right?
It's
But
so much
then we would,
easier.
yes, but then we wouldn't need faith. And I
Right.
feel like that's where
Or him.
Yes, truly, yes. And so that's where, um, I have asked God for healing. For it took me 8 years of God, what is wrong with my body? I'm broken.
Yeah.
I'm so frustrated. And I would say things like, I hate the mom that I am. I hate the person that I am.
Mm.
And I would use those strong words because I felt trapped in my body.
Yes. Hmm.
And I knew there was better for me. I knew I wasn't meant to struggle like this. At my third TMJ surgery, right?
Oh my God.
Like it was just like, how do I fix all of this?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so it was listening, first of all, reading your Bible so that you can be connected to the vine, right?
Yeah.
But then it's also continuing to pray because he doesn't always give us the answer that we're looking for. But if we intentionally pray,
Hmm.
our mind, our reticular activating system, and our brain is going to be looking for the answer because our brain wants to just make us happy.
Right.
So if
Right.
we are looking for and we're praying and we're in meditation with God and Holy Spirit over, please help me figure out what's wrong with blank, or please lead me to an answer for this. When there's a possible solution or a possible answer or a possible breadcrumb, our brain is going to be like, look, and it's
Mm.
going to
Hmm.
highlight it. And so I think that's where we need to be really intentional with what we're asking, but also knowing and then connected on how we can ask. And I feel like we also need to understand that we have authority in Christ
Yes. Yes, we do.
through the blood of Jesus to say no more.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jesus tells us we have the power to heal, right?
We do. We do. I think we forget that so often. For me, sometimes I pray for everyone else for healing and then
Yes.
I don't do it for myself. And it's like,
Yes.
wait, it's okay to ask for healing. Like I even just asked for
Yes.
healing on my hair. My hair just decided to fall out and fry off in November. And I've been praying over my hair. And like today, it actually looks semi decent. But like, I think as a society, we get so pulled into this world that we forget like how good God is and how much he
Mhm.
does want to help us and heal us. And we just have to ask.
Well, you bring up hair, and that's actually another symptom of high cortisol levels.
Oh God.
So,
Good to
um,
know.
yeah, so I had actually lost more than half my hair, and I only had a tiny amount of hair left, and it was so bad. Like, I was looking at extensions, and they were like, we can't put extensions, you don't have enough hair. And then I was looking at like wigs or like those, all the things, right? And it's very weird. It's a weird dynamic to be a woman and losing your hair.
I was like crying when and
Yeah.
my hair thankfully wasn't coming out at the roots. Something had happened. I think it was three different things that I was doing at the same time. And my hair completely fried and fell off. I
Yes.
was worried I'd have like nothing left. And it was
Yeah.
just devastating. And not that I'm a superficial person, but
Right.
when you look in the mirror, your hair is a
Mhm.
big part of you your entire life. And then for
Yeah.
that to happen, it was so jarring. And like I had to hold space for that. And kind of just, I think God in a way was maybe even humbling me a little bit. But at
Mhm.
the same time, it was devastating that I didn't quite expect that.
I didn't either. And that's where I was like, I'm not an egomaniac, I promise. But
Same.
but it was when you look in the mirror and you're so used to seeing what you look like, and then you look so different and you can't fix it. There's nothing you can do. And I feel like I tried everything. But, unfortunately, hair is a non-essential life-giving, breathing, like your body doesn't need your hair to function.
Right.
And so it's just one of those things that
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so um that's where it's like, thankfully, I my hair grew back, and but just I think also giving women permission to allow themselves to go on the healing journey,
Yes.
because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for so many of us achievers and high performers, it feels selfish.
I was just going to say that. Absolutely. I think so many
Yeah.
people think that, and it's not. Like, how
Right.
can you give to someone or pour out love to someone if you aren't healthy and whole and taking care of yourself first? Because you can't be there for other people if you're not at 100%. You know what I mean?
100%. And that's where, I had to get to the point where I was like, you know what? And a lot of it goes down to worthiness,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And not
Mm-hmm.
feeling worthy of taking the time to walk through the emotions, but also not allowing
Yes.
your emotions to hold space and then giving your
Yes.
emotions any significance. Because I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us, like,
Mm-hmm.
we just stuff them and we just push them
Yes.
down. And then our body's like,
Mm-hmm.
hold on, let me show you what that feels like. And that's going back to like the body keeps the score, right? And
Yes.
it's truly that it's okay. You can push through hard things and you can have hard things that you pretend you're fine with, but
Hmm.
your body's going to show you what it feels like.
Yes. It will. It will. And I guess that goes into like, where do you feel grace belongs in the healing journey?
Oh gosh. I just feel like, grace, God's grace has to cover all of it
Yeah.
because it's not easy. And
No.
especially like digging through, and for me it was so funny because I thought, well, let's heal the past couple years. And
Right.
then the past couple years go to the couple years before. And then pretty
Hmm.
soon you're looking at, well, when I was a child, this is what
Hmm.
happened. And wow, this one memory is where the enemy dug
Yes.
in and rooted
Hmm.
and stole what, like, how I viewed it. It was like I put on glasses and I didn't
Yep.
even know. And so I think you have to surrender and be willing to go as deep as you need to go
Hmm.
in order to fully unlock any door and be open to anything, whether it's, trauma you've walked through, whether
Hmm.
it's money mindset, whether it's the way people treated you, whatever it is, you just have to be willing
Hmm.
to say, Lord, I surrender. Like, where do you want to go?
Right, right, right. And I think that so many women listening are going to feel like relieved, like hearing that in a lot of ways, because I feel like so many of them have really wondered what's wrong with me, and I think it's okay to take that time to connect with God and then really focus on going inward and doing that healing work, whether it's emotionally, physically, even spiritually. It's really pretty much all three for
Yeah.
the most part, because then I think that way you have that balance and you can address really what's going on. And obviously, as we mentioned, through all those resources from genetic testing, blood work. There's so many food sensitivities, and you can start figuring out what's going on with you because everyone's so different, right? So what
Yeah.
works with one person for one person from a healing standpoint may not work for the others. And I'm more aligned with you. I'm more holistic in my approach, and I try to do no pharmaceuticals, don't really drink much alcohol, eat organic, non-toxic food. But we are surrounded by so many environmental issues and toxins and things of that nature that I think it's really showing up in our bodies a lot right now. And obviously, as we age and we're dealing with the loss of hormones and obviously cortisol being a hormone being one of them, it's so impacted. So
Yeah.
it makes sense how it's all connected. And I'm glad that we're able to share this with my listeners today because I know so many women are trying to figure out what is going on with me. Like my brain's not firing right. I can't remember things. I feel like I'm going crazy. I have anxiety, and it's maddening at some point. You're like, am I going crazy? Like, have you experienced women like coming to you and saying that?
I have. And what's interesting is I totally get that because
Hmm.
that was me. I mean,
Yeah,
there were
me too.
so many dark days, and I feel like most women don't talk about it, especially like
Mm-mm.
driven
I
women,
agree.
right?
I
It's
agree.
like
I
if
agree.
I'm vulnerable,
Hmm.
then somehow I'm telling somebody else that
But that
I'm,
makes me weak.
yes, yes. And a lot
Hmm.
of us, I think,
Hmm.
carry that like male energy, right? Um,
Yes.
because we've had to be in charge, we've had to handle things, we've got to take care of things. And so
Yep.
it's like I remember I went to a women's conference one time and they were talking about being in your feminine energy. And I was like, what? Why? Those are losers. Like,
Like, what is
yeah. And
that?
I was
They're
like,
weak.
I don't want to be feminine. Like, I got stuff to do. Like, no, like, what? And so it was funny because I was like, this is not the conference for me because this is not what I want. But I didn't realize that, like, as a daughter of the king, like we are daughters. We are meant to be, provided for and taken care of. But in order to do that, we need to take care of ourselves.
Like you said, to that point, like I'm one of those people. I had a high end PR job in Manhattan for many years. It's like fast paced and I completely burnt out,
Yeah.
and even going into that now, I still feel anxiety bubbling up because I put that pressure to be perfect, to get it right. And there is no perfect in the world. I
Right.
think we just need to go easy on ourselves because, we're all sinners. We've all fallen short, right? And
Yeah.
we just have to do our best. That's all we really need to worry about. And then everything else will come into play. But I think society puts a lot of pressure on us, women in particular, and my generation in particular. So it's interesting navigating out of that, I would say. You know what I mean? And trying to train our brains to be different and think different and heal our bodies.
Yeah.
So I know we said earlier, I was shocked when you said you had fostered so many children. I think that's such a lovely, lovely thing you've done. But I wanted to know, because I know you said there was there that moment where your body forced you to slow down and listen? Like, did you have a moment where you're like, something is off? And was it during that time frame or afterwards when were you just taking on too much that your body sort of shut down? And when you said, okay, I need to address this?
It's so crazy that you ask it that way, because this has been something that only within the past, like the deeper healing I've done
Yeah.
and realizing like what my main wounding is. Like, I believe all of us have like a main wounding that
Yes.
is tied to our calling. And
Yes.
that main wounding for me was significance. And
Interesting.
so for me, what I realized now is part of that was tied to, why would I even want to foster 77 children? And so for me, it's, God will take anything that you've done and use it for his good. And so it was birthed out of the place of wanting another child, because I wanted a daughter, but then that was also birthed out of a place of ADHD and
Right.
getting bored easily and needing constant stimulation.
Stimulation.
Yep. And at that point too, I was a stay-at-home mom for our two boys, and
Okay.
my husband kept saying, "Why don't you just be a stay-at-home mom?" And I was like, that is the worst idea I've ever heard of in my whole life. And
Oh God.
now I have totally different thoughts on that, right? But at
Yes.
that point, I was like, I had just left a corporate position where I was responsible for a lot of people and had a lot of visibility, and I loved being busy. And so I
Yes.
had just left to stay at home with my son, and I was terribly bored.
Yeah.
Because I was not living in gratitude for what I was given, because I was an achiever. So it's like all these
Yes.
pieces come together now, right?
Yep.
And so we wanted to have another child. We ended up adopting two daughters.
Oh,
But the
lovely.
thing is like, I was always so mad at my body that I couldn't have another baby.
So you felt like a failure and probably really were hard on
I
yourself.
was. And so by the time we were done, so I felt like I could like outwork it, right? Like outwork
Right.
what my
Right.
body wasn't doing. So by the time that we were done fostering, that was 10 years, 77 foster
Wow.
kids. And my first appointment I went to, I knew I had lots of fibroids. Like, you could feel them through my skin.
Oh
And
my
they
God.
kept telling me, you need to have a hysterectomy. And I was like, no, because I'm going to have a baby. Like,
Yeah.
calm down.
Right.
And
Yeah.
finally I went to the doctor, and I had so much pain, and she had done a ultrasound, and she said, you have a cyst in your ovary and it's really big. And she said, I need to bring you back in 4 weeks and do another ultrasound. And by that time it had doubled in size. And she said, we need to get you in this weekend for surgery, because she knew at that point it was probably cancer. And
Oh,
so
geez.
they removed, thankfully it was all encapsulated. And so they were able to remove that. But then it took me another, 3 years to have the hysterectomy, because I was just that stubborn.
Wow. Wow.
But I felt like I was losing my identity.
hmm hmm
And then,
I can completely relate.
now I have a hysterectomy, but now I have a blocked kidney from damage from that the hysterectomy did. So it's like,
Oh my God.
but
Oh my God.
and that's where I'm like, healing is so important. Because
Yep.
that's the message, right? Is when you
hmm
heal what broke you, and you can heal your body and you can lower your cortisol levels, there's a different path I could have taken.
Right.
I
Exactly.
just didn't know.
Now, how did you heal yourself, if you don't mind me asking? In addition to like doing testing and whatnot, did you do traditional therapy, or what did you find that worked best for you?
So that's why, I partnered with a network marketing company, because they actually have a duo that helps with cortisol and hormone levels. Now, I'm not saying it's a
Oh.
cure, right? But I
hmm
remember the first day I drank the coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to read my Bible for the first time because
Wow.
my mind calmed down enough.
Yes.
And so for
Yes.
me, that
Yep.
was like the beginning journey. And so these products have helped me feel alive enough to go
Mm-hmm.
deep internally, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, and I read, so one of my questions was going to be, what do you recommend people do to help with their cortisol levels or help to feel, obviously get out of that fight or flight mode? And I know you mentioned the duo. Can you explain a little bit about this company? And I know you work with them and
Yeah.
they've helped you, but I'd love to know a little bit more about that. And if there's anything else you'd want to add as
Yeah.
far as what else people can utilize to help feel better outside of doing all the
Yes.
testing and figuring out what's going on in your body. I'd love to hear what you'd recommend.
So, the company that I partnered with, and for me, it's,
Mm-hmm.
it's a blessing too, is being offered lots of potential partnerships right with my social media account. But I haven't
That's
found
great.
one because if I'm not going to use it and be like, I mean, integrity is everything to me.
Right. And it has to
It
work for
has to
you. Right.
work. So with the
Mm-hmm. Right.
company, they had this duo. It's a drink. There's several flavors, and then there's a capsule. So the capsule
Okay.
has glutathione in it, which they call it the master molecule. There's
Yep.
glutathione in every cell in your body. It also has antioxidants, and it helps with your hormone levels, to
Okay.
helping your body naturally adjust the hormone levels. For me, going natural is the most important thing for me. And I also
Same.
feel like God put everything in the earth that we would need. Like,
I agree. And that's why I'm personally against when people mention hormone replacement therapy. And I'm like, but I think our bodies are meant to do this. And I don't want to start messing with how God created us. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? So I'm the same, vein. I'm looking for
yes.
I take so many supplements trying to find, exactly what's working for whatever my issue is at the time.
Right. Well, and then the drink is like the cortisol one that helps your body naturally support your own cortisol levels. So some people have said like, "Oh, my cortisol levels are low," or "Oh, my levels are high." I'm like, it doesn't matter. It just helps your body adjust.
Regulate.
And
Okay.
so that was like the key beginning piece for me.
Okay.
I would say the other piece too is getting out and doing some sort of exercise.
Yes.
For
Mm-hmm.
me, walking has become mental health therapy. And so I literally put on my headphones and I blast Christian music as loud as it will go and I
Yep.
walk. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times that's when God actually gives me like his downloads because I'm there.
Yeah. Well, I can't believe you're saying downloads because I'm laughing because every night I take like a CBD tincture,
Yeah.
which helps me kind of calm my brain.
Yeah.
And at night is when I call them downloads from God. Like I
Yes.
hear he speaks to me, he shows me things and everything's so clear and it's amazing. And but then as soon as I think that I wake up and I'm like, am I crazy? Is that real? You know what I mean? You start doubting yourself.
Yeah.
And I know it's not the case. I have historically, but that really does help calm my brain. And I'm glad that you found something that works for you. And I work out as well. But I know as we age, working out is so important.
It's so important, and especially, so it was interesting. I saw somebody posted something on social media, and it said, as believers, we should be the most in fit or in shape population out there. Because,
Interesting.
I mean, it says God sees our heart, right? And what is our
Hmm.
heart directed towards? Well, we only have one body. And
Right.
it doesn't mean, when I say in shape, it doesn't mean muscles. It just means healthy for you, whatever that is.
Right. Staying active, moving,
Yes,
that's like what I think some people aren't doing because they're sitting at a desk job all day and they're not moving their bodies,
100%. Even a friend of
you
mine,
know?
she got an Apple Watch and she taped it to her leg. And so she got a walking
Wow.
pad for her desk because she has a sit down desk and she just walks at a
Smart.
really slow pace and
Mm-hmm.
gets her
Mm-hmm.
steps in. So I would say walking, but also reading your Bible, even if it's just one chapter a day. Just
Yes.
one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For me, I take the times that I take a shower or when I listen to church sermons or podcast
Mm-hmm.
episodes that are all faith based. And then while I'm getting dressed, I
Yeah.
listen to worship music. Like, I feel like it's
Me
those
too.
chunks you can be really
Oh,
intentional And it's kind
Yeah.
of like, in the morning we wake up and we brush our teeth because they're gross and they're dirty. I feel like our mind gets the
Hmm.
same way. And so we just need to
Yep.
do these things that are going to clean it and be
Right.
intentional with what we're putting in it.
Right, right. So for the woman listening who sees herself in this conversation, because I'm literally nodding to everything, and I want to talk to you offline, like, what do you think I should do here? Like people who are exhausted, gaining weight, which I've noticed in the past few months, my weight has gone up, and I don't eat much at all. So I'm like, what is going on? We're doing all the right things, like I do. I work out 3 days a week. I walk. I'm very fit, active. But where should she begin? I know we talked about a couple things, like reading the Bible, listening to, our music, praying, everything like that, getting tested. Is there anything else you'd recommend?
So, something you said that is so common is a lot of women are telling me I'm not eating very much and I'm gaining weight. So, if you're not eating enough calories, your body is like basically like a bear, and it's going to
Right.
store everything you eat for fat because it's like she's starving
Yes.
me. So
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I do use is I use an app called Carb Manager, and I
Oh,
don't
okay.
use it because I care about my carbs. I use it because I'm
Mm-hmm.
tracking my protein and I'm
Yes.
tracking all of like what I'm eating. So, um, some people can eat the same foods every single day and they don't care. I'm one of those people. So I
Me
eat
too.
I
I can eat the same thing every day and I'm totally
Me
fine.
too. And so, like, for breakfast, I do the same thing every morning. For lunch, I have the same salad. I just shared it in my stories every day, the same thing. And then for dinner is where I go a little bit wild, but not that wild. But it's when I figured out, like, okay, how much protein are you getting in? I know people talk about protein all the time, but that's a building block for your body, and that's why it's so important.
And I know it's so important as we age
It
too,
is.
and to keep lean muscle. My
Yes.
trainer is always like, eat protein, eat protein. I'm sure I don't eat enough, but with every meal, I'm always trying to get some form of protein in.
Yes. And it's really important, like and that's where I would say going back to do like the Viome food test, because for
Mm,
me people would say, oh, do carnivore or eat, used to eat a lot of hamburger meat. My body actually, there's no meat I'm supposed to eat except for chicken and turkey.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
so
I was allergic to beef for years. I
yes,
just found out I'm no longer allergic to beef. All I was eating was chicken and or turkey.
yeah,
And I can eat lamb, so I try to eat lamb as well.
yeah,
But that is so important. Once you find that out, then you understand, okay, what can my body have? What can it digest? What is going to help fuel my body?
right. And the last thing that I would add is water too.
Sure.
Most
Yes.
people are not drinking enough water. I
Hmm.
carry a Stanley everywhere I go, and the only reason I like it is because it fits in my cup holder in my car. Um,
Me too.
and I can
Hmm.
measure it. So it's 40 ounces. I know I just need, two 40 ounces
Yep.
every day, and I'm good. And
Yeah.
I will actually take one when I go on my walk because I know by
Hmm.
the time I get home, it's done. And then I'm one done,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
so it sounds like a lot, but even just like I just started with one thing. I started by taking the
Right.
products and drinking my water. And then
Right.
it wasn't
Right.
until maybe a year on the products, like I've had a lot of surgeries, all kinds of stuff happen, but
Yeah. Hmm.
that I was like, okay, I think I'm ready for exercising, like
Hmm.
a consistent exercise. And now I
Mm.
go to Pilates and we're going to be adding
Yeah.
in the gym, right? Like, but it's
Hmm.
just a lot, giving yourself grace, right? We went back to that, giving
Yes.
yourself
Yes.
grace that Rome wasn't built in a day. You
Right.
take your time because think about how long your body has been in chronic stress.
Right, right. And I think when you say grace, we being, I think a lot of women my generation have been so hard on ourselves.
Yes,
We're just so hard how we talk to ourselves, how we talk to our body. We're overly critical. I'm my own worst enemy sometimes.
100%. Yeah.
And I think we need to give ourselves grace and patience and know that even just by doing one little thing, that can really help set you up for success moving forward,
Yes.
and be patient with yourself. And I feel like a lot of things, they take practice. Like everything takes time and practice. And I think that is something that I've learned that helps me. And I'm assuming you've seen with a lot of your people that you work with as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so then I just wanted to say, as we talk about cortisol, you can test for cortisol levels, correct? And you can kind of figure out where it is. And then from there, you can navigate, okay, how best to treat it, correct?
Yes, but let me add this caveat.
Yeah.
The cortisol, depending on which time of day you test, you're going to get
Mm,
different
okay.
results.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, when I tested my cortisol levels, they were totally fine. And
Wow.
my body wasn't. It was just at that moment, at that screenshot in my moment of my life, at that moment, I was fine. So that's where it's, yes, you absolutely can. I've had so many people come back to me and say, I did my testing and I was fine. I'm like, well, it's up to you. Now you need to decide, are you really struggling with these symptoms, or do you think it could be something else? Because I'm definitely never going to diagnose anybody, or, I'm going to always point them back to their medical provider. But then they're like, oh my gosh. Like, I had one gal who tried the products and she had lost 8 pounds in 2 weeks. She was like, oh my gosh, I feel amazing. And I was like, yeah.
And that's the duo, correct?
Yeah.
That's the duo you recommend with that company.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's 2 different type of products. You need to take both. Is it the coffee and the other?
So it's a coffee or a watermelon berry drink. So you just pick one. They both do the same thing. And so you take one you drink, like, it comes in a stick or in a tub. You drink half a scoop in the morning, half a scoop in the afternoon, and then you can take your capsule with either one, like with the morning drink or the afternoon drink. It's super simple.
So it's a drink and a capsule.
A drink and a capsule. Yeah, it's super simple.
Okay. And what company is that? What's the name of the company?
It's called Benieve. So it's the shortened word of benevolence.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Well, I think this is such a great conversation because, like I said, myself and a lot of my friends, and I know a lot of women my age, are navigating, this season of our life and really trying to figure out how best to stay healthy and fit and happy and mentally sound. Because I really feel the brain fog and the irritability and a lot of the mental stuff, it's really hard. And I certainly struggle with it from time to time. So I can't thank you enough for sharing this with us. And I just think what you're doing, and obviously for me as a woman of faith, infusing God into everything we do, I think it's so important. And I really just hope that, I feel like people hopefully find this as a hope-filled conversation for them, and that, there are ways to get healthy, and with God's grace, we can do that. And I just can't thank you enough for sharing everything with us today.
Absolutely. It was such an honor. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for offering this platform to have this conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. And we'll see you next time. Take care. God bless. Thanks so much for listening. And be sure to subscribe to Second Act Sessions on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. And start your own inspiring Second Act today.